Are you someone that struggles to build muscle? Have you tried different diets and different training plans but don't seem to get the results you're after and then end up quitting? Well, if you are, then this video is for you. And in this video, I want to basically lay out a complete comprehensive guide that essentially is going to set up a foolproof plan to allow you to diagnose why you're not able to build muscle and essentially lay out exactly what you have to do to ensure that you build muscle on whatever program or whatever training principles you decide to follow. Okay, so the three things we're going to be talking about in this video are diet, training, and some specific things that might be going on in your just like lifestyle or hormonal or nervous systems that may be prohibiting you from being able to put on muscle in the most advantageous way. It might just be a roadblock prohibiting the results from kind of flowing, if that makes sense, because it's one mechanism, right? So our body needs to be able to facilitate these changes if we're going to go about an endeavor like building muscle. Okay, so diet. First thing, a lot of people just tell people that want to build muscle or gain weight that they just need to eat more, eat more, eat more. Yeah, it's true, but it usually doesn't work just because, look, if they're not somebody that struggles with food in the 21st century and like, you know, they have these delicious foods around them and they're not overweight or don't even struggle with it and don't even think about it often, these people often forget about eating food. That's why they're so slim. So when you tell them to just eat more, what often happens is they'll eat more, but they won't eat the right foods with the right macro levels at the end of the day to facilitate the right level of like muscle growth and stuff like that. And what probably ends up happening, and this is like, you know, more experiential, but you know, take it for a grain of salt, it's like they eat a bunch and then they stuff their face and then they forget even more about food and then they just forget to eat and then they just don't end up gaining any weight and then they're just stuck. So how can we circumvent this? If that is you and you've just been spinning your wheels for some time, you may have to become aware of your calories. I know it sucks, but at least on a surface level, so you can be sure you're eating at a certain level every day. You should look up your daily calories. There's tons of calculators online to basically see how many calories you're burning, and you want to eat anywhere from 200 to 300 calories above that. If you're still not gaining weight at a rate about, say, a pound a week, you know, maybe less, maybe half a pound a week, maybe a pound every like 2 weeks or even a month if you're more of an intermediate or advanced lifter. But if that's you and you're still not gaining weight on 200-300 calorie bump, then just keep increasing it until you see that growth. And then I know it kind of sucks, but you know, in the same level that people that want to lose weight have to be stringent about their diet, you may have to be stringent about your diet in the way that you want to gain weight. So that's basically diet. As far as protein level go, a lot of guys prescribe over inflated protein numbers, and it makes it just that much harder to stick to the higher calories because protein is so satisfying. So it makes you so full. So trying to eat like 250 grams of protein a day, that'd be goddamn hard on a bull. You know, imagine somebody that struggles to gain weight. That's a nightmare. So what we want to do is bring protein to a moderate level, around 0.8 pounds per lean body mass. Studies have shown that this is the adequate amount of protein required for strength. I forget the key phrase they use, but strength training athletes, intense training athletes, some sort of weight bearing activity, whatever it may be. So just keep it at the lowest level, and then you can fill up the rest of your calories with carbs and fat. And there's also something to be said that if you're at a caloric surplus and you're not hitting your complete protein numbers every day, don't really worry about it, because your body's going to still be in a more anabolic receptive state to put on muscle, and you don't have to worry about giving it those perfect macros every single day. So that's diet out of the way. Some hacks and stuff for diet before we go off of it, actually. If you're really struggling to put the calories in, I would try to say get as many calories from carbs as you can, but if you can't hit them, then try to get, you can put some more fats in there just in the meantime until you get used to the higher calorie numbers. Dried fruit is amazing for gaining weight because there's a little water content, tons of nutrient content, and it's very calorically dense, so that's great. Continuing on, training. Most guys that struggle to gain weight that I've seen, they struggle to gain weight and they're like, you know what, I'm just not doing enough, and then they just end up tacking on more and more volume and they're just focusing on getting sore, and then what ends up happening is they plateau really quick, because what happens is they're just getting sore and they're banging themselves up so much, and then they see that surge in glycogen that is coming up with this, you know, really beating yourself up. You know, they have a lot of lactate levels and all these different what's it called, metabolic sugars, I guess you can call them that, in the muscle tissue that are being swollen up from all these high intensity, high volume workouts. And then what happens is they get so trashed that they like end up taking a week off, and they're like, fuck, I lost all my gains. But in reality, they were just building up glycogen the whole time. So instead of just focusing on the pump per se and just like spinning our wheels, we want to focus on building muscle fibers, right? I'm going to make another video about glycogen and the role that it kind of plays and the misconception that it has with building muscle. But we want to build like the muscle fibers, and this can only be done by one way, and it's progressive overload. When you're tagging yourself with tons and tons of volume and trying to force this growth, what ends up happening is your body's not able to cope fast enough, so that it ends up staying where it's at, because you're just trying to survive the workout at that point. There's no room to grow. So, you know, if you're on anabolic steroids, then that's a different discussion, and you'll totally be able to recover from those insane 30-set workouts that Arnold talks about per exercise. But, you know, if you're not that, you have human genetics, then we're having a different discussion completely. And if that is the discussion, then you want to limit the volume that you're doing so that you can recover and keep progressing in the routine. See, these guys, everybody wants quick results, and then when they try to build muscle, they go about it the same way, and then after a couple weeks they fall off the program. But really the best program is the one that's going to be giving you results now, and like you can keep doing it. In 5 years from now, you'll still be making those steady results, because building muscle takes time. Anybody that's been in bodybuilding for a long time will tell you that. And so those are the first two parts of this video, and I'm going to cut it right here. Peace. So I'm going to make the last part in the video for the hard gainer video. So the last point, just it's kind of a side tangent for anybody that has had trouble building muscle in the past. You know, I totally feel you. I've been there. I was a skinny guy myself when I first started training, like 12 to 15, and that's the time in my life when I was really like, you know, more in that mindset of like, I want to get bigger, and you know, nowadays my priorities lie more towards, you know, staying lean and staying fit, being strong, and a little bit more well-rounded. But I totally get it, and to that I want to just talk about a little bit of some things that may be, you know, prohibiting you from getting the results that you want, roadblocks that I encountered on my path to trying to build muscle. And I just wanted to mention it because I really wish I had this information when I was going about the process. It comes down to your nervous system and your lymphatic system, or your hormones, right? A lot of people talk about testosterone and bodybuilding and all of these different things, and it's absolutely right. But they don't really, they talk about it in like the larger scheme of kind of like diet, like, oh, diet and training, where's your testosterone? And that's like great, and that's really good. But if you're doing certain things in your lifestyle, or you don't know about how certain foods are going to be affecting your hormones and health, then you're going to be really shooting yourself in the foot a little bit with how much you're able to make progress in this whole muscle building thing. And if your testosterone is super diminished, you are going to have a tough time building muscle, a tough time losing fat, and this whole fitness thing is going to become a lot harder. But the other thing that may be prohibiting you from building muscle is your nervous system. This one's a little bit of a shorter topic, and I can just touch upon it in this video. And essentially we have two branches of the central nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic branch. The sympathetic branch is all things fight or flight, right? Catabolic hormones that are tearing down, hormones that are used to you know, burn up fuel, like going to the gym, things like that, and spending energy. While the parasympathetic, on the other hand, is the opposite. It's everything other. It is rest and digest. It's sleep. It's you know, serotonin, norepinephrine, and carbs, and you know, feeling like you're in a little cozy bed. We all know what these two branches of the central nervous system feel like. Even if you haven't paid attention to it, you've definitely felt the effects of being in both these states at any given time. One where you've been stressed out, and one where you've been super relaxed. And then so we know these are real, and we can observe these, and then we can see, yeah, these really do affect us in a very real way. So what does this have to do with muscle building? Well, if you're always in a sympathetic state, you're somebody that's really, really stressed out, these are not, that is not the place for building muscle. As much as people like to think that building muscle happens in the gym, and that's why we tack on tons and tons of volume, it's actually the opposite. We tear down muscle tissue in the gym, and then we bring it back up later when we're resting and when we're sleeping and when we're eating food and all these things. So when that relates to muscle building, if we're constantly stressing ourselves out, if you're somebody that's always stressed out, I'm not here to point fingers and say anybody's stressed out, but you have to ask yourself that question. And if you feel like you're always stressed out, that would be really, really prohibiting your ability to put on muscle, in my experience. Because it's just you're gonna be fighting against yourself so much more. There's gonna be inner resistance when it could be just so much easier. Like, there's one thing to follow plan, and then if you feel like you're self-sabotaging yourself and just have like low energy, or you're not able to put on the muscle and you're just not in that available state to build muscle, then it's going to be a really tough experience. But yeah, those are the two other topics that may be prohibiting you from putting on muscle if you're a hard gainer. And that's really it for that video, guys. Thank you for watching, and peace.